Are you still seeing that the Hormozy style content is still prevalent and winning? And we did an interesting analysis. We looked at Hormozy's TikTok and I showed them, and he was at like 280,000 followers on TikTok. And I said, here's why AI inside of your content does not translate to multi-platform, because of that exact reason that you just mentioned. He has his entire system built around Instagram, but this technology does not know how to differentiate between Instagram and TikTok content to the spot where you're going to see the results that you want to see out of it.
I'm a part of a program all around learning how to create predictable, viral, short-form video content. Essentially, we are reverse engineering virality on Instagram Reels. So you go and you search a keyword. What is the format? What is the hook? What are they talking about? We want to duplicate what we know is already working and then create our own spin on it. So we are using data to inform the way that we create.
Podcasting's been a tough world for a lot of people all over, but for the few that make it, it is their biggest revenue stream possible. It helps them generate new leads, new clients. They build brand equity. What are your thoughts now that we are halfway through? Actually, we're at the end of Q1 for 2024. We have 9 more months of this year left. You just contributed into the Neuro Insider talking about podcasting, not just why people should start one, but really how to leverage that into future growth for your business. Are you seeing that trend still hold, considering podcasts have been around for 15 plus years now?
Yeah, all the statistics about the number of podcasts and number of entrants in the market, all of it is irrelevant to me. And one of the things that I always talk to clients about is I say the phrase, throw it in the trash, because unless you have a podcast, that competition is irrelevant to me, because this is your opportunity to share your voice, your knowledge, to inspire others, to do things that'll grow your business, because this is your platform. And the simple and obvious example that I always give is, well, just because there are millions of other newsletters, does that mean that you shouldn't do one? Or just because there's tens of millions of websites, does that mean that you shouldn't do one? Because let's drop the romance about this. It's just another marketing platform. But how you leverage it is where you go from average to world-class. And that's what you and I are talking about.
Let's get into that. So you wrote an amazing piece for the Neuro Insider, which we're super grateful for. And I know when people see this video after they've read it, they're going to see why it was so impactful. But how do you see the best of the best leveraging their leveraging their podcast to their website or to landing pages or to products? How are they leveraging this, and how do people get the most out of it? Because ultimately they need to put, they think, the least amount of time into it to get the biggest ROI, right? But where do you really see that playing out? What are the chess moves here?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you the mastery level everything, because I've been doing this over 8 years. I've published over 1,000 podcast episodes. I've been hired by brands to both be the host of their shows, so I'm a professional host. I've also helped them design and build and launch shows, both from entrepreneurs to brands. So I've seen every single aspect of this. So if I was coaching you, Alex, to put you in a position to succeed, well, number one, get in the game. The thing that stops the majority of entrepreneurs in this is they think about it, but they don't actually take action. So they're not actually doing any of the things that are going to get them the benefits that they're looking for. And number two becomes, once you are in the game, now, how do we leverage this? And the simple thing for me is I'm not stopping anytime soon. So when it's a very tactical, like how often or how many times do I have to do this to get X result? Irrelevant for me. How have I published 1,000 episodes? By doing the same process 1,000 times in a row. So this is the next mastery level topic, is a lot of people just don't know what to do. And I've got a phrase that I use with my clients: uncertainty leads to inaction. If you don't know what to do, you're likely to not do something. And it's why I am so fanatical about creating and designing a process that you follow every single time, because this is where we pick up the efficiencies, doing more with less. And then number two, creating high quality. So if you design all of this at the very beginning by saying, all right, if I'm going to do this for the next 10 years and 1,000 episodes, how would it serve me to build this thing right now? And then where is my mindset? Because for me, I don't care about my downloads. And quite frankly, I do the majority of this to serve and help others. And I'm a go-giver by design. And so often in business, and Alex, I know with you having a marketing background, you understand, well, dollar in, dollar out, or how long does it take for me to turn this ad campaign into something that's revenue positive? For me, I'm planting a lot of seeds, and podcasting is one where my voice can shine, my expertise can shine. I've got a platform that can allow me to connect with anybody I want in the world and put myself into a position to succeed and be a go-giver at the same time. And I know most people are going to quit early, or they're going to say, why is this not working for me? Well, guess what? We are moving into an era with artificial intelligence where there's going to be no shortage of videos, written articles, and information. You know what's going to really separate everybody? Human interaction. Wow. If only I'd invested in the thing that allows me to interact with more humans.
The network effect is just astounding, right? How many guests have you had over your career of doing this for almost a decade now, do you think?
So the answer would be, I don't know, but I would guess 200 to 400 guests.
So you were anywhere between 1 or 2 degrees of separation away from reaching anybody you could ever want because you spent the time to invest into this. And as mentors, and kind of the cliche phrase to say is that your net worth is in your network. You were literally 1 or 2 DMs away from people at any time to get any answer, any solution, any reference, any connection that you could ever want.
100%. And that was actually the genesis of why in the world I did this. When I left my old digital advertising sales job a decade plus ago, I sat there at zero. No money, no clients, no nothing. And I'm like, how in the world do I build relationships in this industry? And I was like, all right, well, let me go and talk to the people that I want to talk to. And how do you do it? You can try and send them a cold DM, but they get a million of those in their email inbox. It's like, why do I care about that? But asking someone to be on the podcast to talk about how awesome they are, boom, everybody loves talking about themselves. So you just slowly rinse and repeat this over and over and over again. And you say, all right, who do I want to build a relationship with? And then from there, you just build out a strategy and an execution. And oh, by the way, this is super fun. I love talking to people. I love helping people. Alex, like you, as business owners, we are here to help other business owners and entrepreneurs. So by design, me doing this conversation with you, I love doing this, just having this conversation, but it's going to help a lot more people than it will me in this exact second right now. And I'm just going to be someone who's willing to rinse and repeat that thousands of times, and I'll see what happens.
I love it. It's the law of reciprocity is so big and so underutilized. And I feel like that's really been your master thesis watching you for the last 5 years as you've continued to build and grow and network and extend your tentacles out into different areas. Everybody knows who you are and what you do. And if they don't, they're going to within 1 or 2 degrees of separation. And you're leaving your digital footprint for hundreds of thousands of years if we don't blow ourselves up.
Yeah. And God forbid we take a page from what you do and we're actually smart about all of this, where you say, if I'm recording a podcast, what if I also recorded the video? And what if I also turn that into an SEO optimized blog post around a specific guest name or a specific topic? Man, what if I started talking about the pain points or the challenges that my ideal customer is going through, to where I can then help them for free by sharing this podcast information, to where so often people think about sales as like this icky thing, like the dialing for dollars is where I came from. But imagine relationship-based selling, give until there's an opportunity for someone to work with you. And you're like, man, I've been reading all of what Alex does and I love it. Who do you think they're going to go to for marketing when they're ready for marketing? You.
Exactly.
Who do you think they're going to refer someone to when someone says, hey, you know anybody who's amazing at marketing? You. So this is relationship building 101. This is word of mouth 101. And the ability to rinse and repeat this into perpetuity is where I am going to win, and everybody who works with me does. And Alex, you know a lot of the people in the circles that we run with, and you see the podcasters, and there's a recent thing of like, hey, where are you ranking in the listen notes top podcasts globally in the world? And it's no accident how many of us were in the top 2% or top 5% globally. And I sat there and I asked myself, and I was in the top 2% of all podcasts in the world. And I said, how in the world did that happen? And my answer was very simple. It was based on the number of times that I showed up. Mm-hmm. And with this podcast specifically, the number was like 583 episodes. And it's like, wow, that's a lot. Actually, it's not. It's like 1 or 2 a week, every week for a decade.
Yep. I mean, look at Rogan, right? He really kind of laid that foundation down of, I'll just talk with people every day. And there's weeks he'll take off and then he'll come back and he'll get to the grind for another quarter or two. And then he'll take a few weeks off and then he's rinsed and repeat that cycle for over a decade. And now he's dealing with multi-million-dollar deals between Spotify and all these other channels to really grow that brand. And obviously we don't know how much he's brought in from affiliate deals and his commercials, but you got to imagine it's hundreds of millions of dollars. And even if you never reach the hundreds of millions of dollars that come in from this, he's in the same position you are. He's 1 or 2 phone calls away from anybody that he ever wanted to reach. But he started out as a comedian and a UFC commentator. How in the world does a comedian end up reaching Elon Musk, end up reaching future presidential candidates? He could literally reach anybody in the world because he just had conversations with people to flesh out ideas, talk about wild things, and get to the heart of what's really important inside of culture.
All right. So here's the mastery level growth in business side of things. Because a lot of people are just going to say, how is this going to generate revenue for me? Do I have to turn into Joe Rogan and make affiliate revenue from the ads of the Lisa mattresses or the Casper mattresses of the world? And when you're just starting out, my encouragement is do not even think about outside advertising. You know who the number one advertiser is?
Me.
You and your brand in everything that you're doing. Because once again, we're doing this for relationship because it takes time to grow audience. That you're just not going to pop this thing on and after 5 episodes, it's like, holy smokes, you're this voice that I've never heard of before. No, as you said, Joe Rogan did Fear Factor and comedy and UFC and all of this stuff. So the I want to become Joe Rogan is like, cool, we'll start 20 years ago and then we'll see what starts happening. So once you understand from a monetization side of things, think with yourself first in your own brand, because you can make a lot more money selling your own services than you will making the $20 CPM on 1,000 downloads, because essentially you're going to say, all right, I need 20 to 50,000 downloads an episode, which is a ton to start making any money that's even going to remotely move the needle. And if you're a wise business owner, your services are going to create a lot more, or the relationships in that. But let's get to the next level above that. And what this is really about is that every personal brand or actual brand is becoming a media company because of the way that we as consumers consume content. And I've got 2 marketing principles. Number 1, everything you do is a reflection of your brand. And number 2, everything you do is an opportunity to create a positive brand interaction. So now we put this in the lens of podcasting and becoming this super connector. And you say, all right, Well, I can listen to Rob and Alex on the audio side of things. We can throw this over to video. We can also live stream this thing all at the same time to get organic reach on all of the different platforms. We can also leverage this to go chop, chop, chop and turn one episode into 10 pieces of micro content. All of a sudden, one turns into 15 pieces of content. We're then going to create an SEO optimized blog post. We're going to use some of that content and we're going to put it in a newsletter. And the mechanics of how we do this is where the nuance comes in, because a lot of people just want to very sterilely repurpose everything. And is more better? Sure, you're more brand interactions, but what you learn in being in the game longer is that if I'm creating a video for IG Reels, I probably want a pre-designed hook. Is the content that I'm chopping up having a pre-designed hook? Probably not. Probably not going to perform at the level that it could. So now your gears are turning on how you're building your media machine, and you can really see your ability to have conversations with others and what can be done with it. What are my KPIs attached to it? What are the various tentacles from the, hey, here's a free lead magnet or a 7-day email course, to here's my services or offerings, to let me bring on my guests and promote the book that they have going on. Let me do a week-long series where I bring on guests and do workshops. There's so much that comes from all of this. And this is why this isn't just about podcasting. Let's expand our aperture to the true vision of what's possible. And now thinking about yourself as a media brand. And this is including if an individual entrepreneur is watching or listening to this, because this is how the game is being played now.
That's so good. Looking at media, we already touched a little bit on AI, but I want to go a step further. We talked about that the interpersonal relationships of that are really what are going to push you past that noise. The other side I want to point to, and I would love to hear your thoughts on, is it's almost like bullshit, right? You can smell AI from a mile away. Where are you seeing AI technology right now within the podcasting world that doesn't smell like that? Because if you read through Facebook and somebody puts out something that was written on ChatGPT, you can smell that from 500 miles away, right? And the opposite of that we're starting to see is true, which is now that it's starting to catch up to tonality, to pattern recognition and everything else, where are you seeing that start to sway as a positive inside of being tools to help us amplify message or cut down on processes that would be mundane, tedious, like you said, taking the one-to-many approach for content? Is that where you're seeing AI technology really be leveraged in this, or are there other areas?
So what I'm about to share is going to be a mastery level thing. And I say this often because I know what I do on a daily basis with my clients in my business. For the last year, I've been running an AI coaching and training company, helping entrepreneurs and CEOs leverage and integrate AI and ChatGPT into their business. And I'm sharing this for context on everything that I'm about to say, because what is everybody likely to do? And you just said that. Oh my God, ChatGPT can write a blog post in 1 minute. I'm now going to start putting that out there. I'm going to rank on Google, or I'm going to do all of this stuff on social media. Immediately, we can see the holes in it because it says crafted, delves, unlocks, superpowers, tapestry. Immediately, you're like, oh, what is missing? And remember this, one thing that AI does not have is soul. And when you hear my voice right now, you can hear my heart. You can hear my energy and how I'm putting everything into it. That is what AI is lacking. So because of this, the misplaced focus, at least as we speak at the end of Q1 2024, is that AI is best used for content creation. That is not the case, and I'm a prolific creator. Where it is better leveraged is as a creative assistant, to where you create first and you use it as the polish. So where I love to use AI the most, and let's just say ChatGPT, is in my writing. I'll ask it like it's a world-class editor. I'll say, does this work? Why or why not? is the narrative and theme consistent in flow? And what is someone likely to feel and experience after reading this? I will then paste the likely newsletter or blog post that I just wrote there. And then ChatGPT will come back to me as a world-class editor and say, the narrative went from intro to example to why this, boom, this all logically flowed. Because where I am oftentimes challenged as a writer is I'm a very conversational writer. So I can bounce from thing to thing to thing. But Alex, you and I both know when it comes to delivering value and persuasion that we want to have a very logical narrative. So when you're building and designing email funnels and sequences, it's very formulaic in how we're doing it. We're talking about pain points or outcomes or benefits or the things that are stopping people. But sometimes in my mind and that of others, we can just jump around and we don't know if we're doing this thing correctly. You're telling me I can become a more effective and powerful writer by saying, hey, can you make sure that the effectiveness and the power and the flow and everything that I'm doing is lined up here before I hit send? Boom. So that's on the writing side. The AI graphics, be careful, graphic designers, because they are coming from your jobs, not to replace you, but if you're a graphic designer, you better be leveraging AI as part of what you're doing. Because I see a lot of designers right now who are, oh my God, don't use AI, just hire designers. No, I'm hiring a designer that knows how to use AI because it's just powerful. In that instance, for the graphics, what we're talking, our thumbnails, our cover photos, in a blog post, the supportive images. This is to where AI is going to have a massive benefit. Where AI is failing in content creation right now is the micro content repurposing. So there's the Opuses and the Cast Magics of the world that say, give us a 30-minute video, we'll create 10 clips for you. I've tried all of them. The problem is they're not designing the hook. It's not completely getting there. So you end up spending more time editing the thing that was supposed to save you the time. I find it just significantly easier to not use those tools.
Are you still seeing that the Hormozy style content is still prevalent and winning? Because I had a few people ask me that at one of the events that I was recently speaking at, and we did an interesting analysis. We looked at Hormozy's TikTok, and before I said, all right, everybody guess how many followers he has on TikTok compared to Instagram. And people were like, he's got 1 million on TikTok compared to the couple million on Instagram. And I showed them, and he was at like 280,000 followers on TikTok. And I said, here's why AI inside of your content does not translate to multi-platform, because of that exact reason that you just mentioned. He has his entire system built around Instagram, but this technology does not know how to differentiate between Instagram and TikTok content to the spot where you're going to see the results that you want to see out of it.
Okay, love that you just said this. And I'm experiencing this real time in my own brand based on something that I'm learning. So I'm a part of a program all around learning how to create predictable, viral, short form video content. Essentially, we are reverse engineering virality on Instagram Reels. So you go and you search a keyword. So let's call it ChatGPT. And you see, all right, what in there has 500,000 views and above? What is the format? What is the hook? What are they talking about? So we want to duplicate what we know is already working and then create our own spin on it. So we are using data to inform the way that we create. When talking about the Hormozy style, and there's two ways. Most people think Hormozy style is I'm creating a podcast and turning it into 10 pieces of content. I'm going to add the fancy captions, and now I look like Alex Hormozy. None of that is data driven. That is more content that has polish, not content that is designed to speak directly to my audience. And oh, by the way, what is the most important part of a piece of video content? The first 3 seconds. And you're telling me we're using AI and it fails at the first 3 seconds? red flag, red flag, red flag. On the other side of Alex Hormozi becomes he legitimately will create, I believe, designed reels with designed hooks or conversations. He's not doing it from his podcast, but he's sort of standing there with a film crew and they're going and doing this. And the hole in the game, and I'm noticing through my own game, where I am publishing little to none of my podcast repurposing in all on data-driven designed reels, because I want to create more impactful content that stands out, because more isn't always better. And we're certainly about to learn that in the world of AI with content. Better is better. So therefore, how can we create better content? And Alex, you and I live in the world of entrepreneurship. We can very easily duplicate what Alex Hormozi is doing with our eyes closed. So now everybody looks like Alex, looks like Gary Vee. Well, I don't want to be like everybody else. I can take the best practices of what people are doing. So what I'm seeing right now is wow, we can all sign up for a B-roll service for $10 a month, and we can add B-roll into our podcast clips. Well, I look at that and I'm like, I never use stocked footage in my content ever. Why would I start doing that now? I get it. We're going to try and train the people for the attention. Once again, everything you do is a reflection of your brand. What is everybody doing? They're following Alex Hormozi. I am looking at what is actually moving the needle. Data is moving the needle. Different formats are moving the needle. Designed hooks are moving the needle. Understanding your audience, being consistent. So because of this, does Hormozi style work? Yeah, it can, but that's almost too generic of a statement, even though your question's 100% correct, because most people are just going to try and duplicate him without understanding the true metric of what makes something successful.
I love it. Dude, we have like 2 minutes left. Any final points before we wrap up that you want to impose wisdom into our audience with?
Get in the game. That if you've thought about launching a podcast, do it. Know that what you feel right now is not how you will feel 2 months later, because I am yet to run into a person or a company that I've worked with who has published 20 episodes and who is like, Rob, that was the worst decision of our life. No, it is the complete opposite. They're like, how can I do more of this faster and better? So get in the game. And if you don't know what to do, go and find someone who does. I would love to help you, or go to anyone. It's irrelevant to me how you learn how to do this, but get in the game. And even if you think, oh my God, so many other people do this, the answer is they don't. It's just a closed view of it. And oh, by the way, the best of the best in the world do this. And if you're thinking about this on a brand level, I know very few brands who are doing an internal podcast or an external podcast. This is the opportunity of a century for brands to see themselves as media companies, leveraging podcast and video to grow relationships, to really add value to everyone they work with.
Boom, dude. Where can people find you? How can they get more of your info?
So on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook at Rob Cressy. I have a podcast built for the game, which helps you grow your business and life together. If you're someone interested in launching a podcast or about that high performance life, hit me up, Rob at robcressy.com.
Guys, thanks a lot for subscribing to the Neuro Insider. We'll catch you in next month's episode. If you have any questions for me or Rob, make sure you reach out to us. We're more than happy to help.